It's no doubt that we live in interesting times. So much history is being made, and we're sitting right in the middle of it. I think a phenomenon that happened back in 2020 really needs to be looked at a little further because I think it says a lot about our current situation and the voting public at large. And that phenomenon is Joe Biden in 2020 won 81 million votes, more than any president in history. And I think it's something we need to talk about. Hello, everyone. This is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So back in 2020, Joe Biden won 81 million votes, more than any president in history. And he did so with hardly leaving his basement. He beat Obama's record. He beat Trump. He just slaughtered everyone without even trying, just one hand tied behind his back. Why is that? What has changed? Because it wasn't Joe Biden's first time running. He ran back in the 80s twice. He didn't even make it past the primaries. Joe Biden was blown out before he even really got started. What's changed? Something has changed since the 80s and now for Joe Biden to go from not making past the primaries 2 times before and now the most popular president, at least back in 2020, in world history. So either one of 3 things changed. Either Joe Biden changed, he's gotten a lot smarter, a lot better, a lot more, quicker, quicker thinking. Something happened to Joe Biden so he could win 81 million votes. So it's either Joe Biden's got better, the something's happened with the voting bloc in the United States, that they all could just find one candidate worth giving 81 million votes for some reason, or the media coverage. Maybe that's changed. Let's take a look and see how different the media coverage was back in the 1980s.
The next president of the United States, Joe Biden.
It's June 9th, 1987, and then Senator Joseph R. Biden Jr. has just entered the presidential race. Look familiar? The 2020 race is Biden's 3rd attempt at the Oval Office. He first ran for president 32 years ago.
Like it just says 32 years ago, like it was a million years ago. Oh, for her, it probably was.
For those who may have forgotten or weren't around in 87, here's what happened. Biden started off as a strong contender.
Senator Joseph R. Biden Jr. of Delaware.
But his campaign was marred by some early blunders, like this one.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is...
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect.
And he exaggerated his academic record in law school.
Went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class.
And then there were moments like this, repeated later during the campaign.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes.
But he never actually marched in the civil rights movement at all.
But he didn't say which side he marched on now, did he, Missy? He could have marched on the side where your face is covered, you have a pointy hood, and he was marching for change. Like all the Democrats did back then during the civil rights era. Anyway, continuing.
Ultimately, it was accusations of plagiarism in his speeches.
I did not know that was a Robert Kennedy quote. My mistake.
That forced him to drop out of the race.
I made some mistakes.
Joseph Biden admitted today that he committed plagiarism when he was in law school. He said it was a mistake, but that it was unintentional.
He quoted 5 pages of someone else's work without proper citation.
That's unintentional. I mean, the 5 whole pages before copy and paste ever existed. You got to type everything out manually. Oops, I copied 5 pages. I didn't realize that happened. Yeah, that's Biden.
I've done some dumb things, and I'll do dumb things again.
He was given an F.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been dumb.
To the political community in Washington, it all seems of a piece. Plagiarism at law school, plagiarism on the stump.
The great communicator. Strike that. The great imitator.
You don't steal verbatim.
or when you do, as he did 99% of the time, you give credit.
Biden's critics say he sells himself as a man whose words and visions can inspire a new generation in politics. But if the thoughts, phrases, and visions really belong to others, it's a form of false advertising.
Senator Joseph Biden may have more explaining to do.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class.
Hey, you don't look like they're buying it.
I was an outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
It's like opposite day.
He went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed.
His memory had failed him. How pathetic. Now, back in the 80s, that wasn't right-wing news. That wouldn't get you canceled. That was just news. It was pretty accurate, too. And it hurt Joe Biden. The truth hurt Joe Biden. Big shot. If we had balanced news today, how do you think Biden would do? You think he'd be at 40% approval or 20? This is just how petty the news was in comparison, because remember, it buried everything it could. The mainstream media, all bad news about Biden was buried and or ignored. His laptop, the money he's getting from Ukraine, they're ignoring that nowadays. The photos on the laptop, the last really horrible bit of news that Biden got, and it did hurt him, was the pullout in Afghanistan when you had the horrible videos of people falling from the airplanes and things like that. After that, it's like the media's like, yeah, we can't afford to show that kind of crap anymore, because that hurt Biden's polls, and he never really fully recovered from the Afghani withdrawal. But this is how they, in comparison, this is how they covered Trump. This was like some big story at the time. Washington Post fact checks Trump, concludes burgers at Clemson dinner weren't piled a mile high. So that is the Washington Post. They were so petty and they had to just pick everything they could to try and help Biden, or really hurt Trump. Was when he said the burgers were piled a mile high, the Washington Post had to let us all know that that wasn't true. Like, we didn't see a stack of mile-high burgers on the president's desk. That's how unbalanced and biased the news is. Like I said, I don't think Biden can survive that. And it's starting to slowly move in that direction currently. It seems like somebody's put the word out that you can start increasing your inquiries into, I was going to say attacks. It's not really attacks. You just ask questions. But the press is starting to ask a little more heated questions, a little more pertinent questions. And we'll see if the Biden campaign, the Biden administration can take it. What we need is, I hate to say it because Fox sucks, but we need a fair and balanced media. Without it, you really can't have a republic, because people aren't informed properly. You have half the people who may watch independent media. They know what's going on, at least have a better idea. And then you got people who just follow one or two of the alphabet news sources, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, like that. And they're not getting the full story. They're pretty much blind. But that's what's happening nowadays. So hopefully things start turning around. Hopefully the mainstream media just dries up and goes away. I think independent news sources like Matt Taibbi, Glenn Greenwald, Jimmy Dore, and by the way, none of those are right-wingers. Those are all guys on the left, but they're classic liberals where they'll tell it as it is. And I recommend any of those guys check them out on YouTube, and you get a better perspective on what's going on out in the world. Of course, I listen to other guys, Ben Shapiro and like that, but I always listen to both sides because it's, that way you get a fuller story, fuller view of what's going on out there. But that's my opinion. What's yours? Like, share, comment, and subscribe.